Arc Raiders. So I've been hearing a lot about this game lately. They had the server slam test recently, and then they had some type of beta last year, and I think they first announced it back in 2021. So this game has been in the makings for quite some time. So looks like we're about to get a full release, and I think it's only $40. So let's see what this game is talking about. Maybe it'll pique my interest. Shout
Hey,
out
we're
Gamer
back with
Ranks,
another
my guy
episode
Jake
of Before
Baldino.
You Buy. That show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. It's me, Jake, and today we're talking about Arc Raiders. Now, this was originally planned as like a kind of free-to-play co-op looter shooter thing, but there was a change in direction a few years back, and now it's finally here, releasing, and it's a $40 Steam, PS5, and Xbox title. It's this PvPvE extraction shooter, meaning for the layman, players versus other players and NPC enemies. So you drop in, you survive, you grab as much stuff as you can, and get out with a bunch of new stuff.
Fuck out.
Or you die in the middle of battle and you lose everything, including any shiny equipment or weapons you brought along for the adventure. Now, extraction shooters are generally considered to be pretty hardcore, but more and more developers are trying to bring it into the mainstream. Bungie doing it with Marathon, but we've had Embark Studios here, the people behind the finals, chipping away at this one for a long time. And it's definitely been hyped up a lot online, but I went in with an open mind and it's pretty good, man. With a good group of friends online, it can be a blast. At least so far. Now,
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, he mentioned extraction shooters are like hardcore or whatever, bro. I tried to play off the grid when that was like in beta, because it looked like a fun game. And man, when I tell you I was getting my ass handed to me, I was like, nah, this is day one, and y'all already this sweaty at the game. Yeah, I'm smooth off that. I tried to have fun with it, but I'm smooth off that. So they said this one is more accessible, so I guess this might be more my lane.
keep in mind, this is a multiplayer game, and we didn't get a review copy or anything. I just bought it and have been playing nonstop since the game went live. So consider this strong first impressions or like a review in progress of a game that can change over time. In Arc Raiders, mysterious machines have taken over and humanity has resulted in living underground. In these final cities, people occasionally go above ground or topside to find resources to bring back. But generally, when you're a raider going topside, it's the Wild West out there. And it's up to you to loot, steal, kill, team up with whoever you want. That's the gist, really. You get a very brief little tutorial that just shows you the basic controls. Then you create a character and you jump right in. The character creator is pretty rough. There's not too much to it. Granted, most of the skins involve you covering your face and your body with all this stuff, but the character creator, I wish there was a few more options. What is kind of cool is that there are a lot of faces and skins that are older looking, which I thought was very interesting. It's not just a bunch of young people, but you create this character and then the game throws you in. A lot of the early games quests essentially walk you through all the other mechanics of the game. A mission will require you to kill some robots or use grenades or learn how to raid a certain spot or how to open certain things. And pretty much all of this stuff is menu driven. When you're out topside running and gunning and looting and shooting and exploring, you're playing. But any other time, you're spending time in a lot of menus. Because this is an extraction shooter, it comes with lots and lots of loot and resources. I would say almost like what feels like an endless amount of things, pieces of scrap, items, components to break down, craft, reconfigure into other things. You scroll through all different menus with different vendors selling different stuff, offering up quests, as well as your own workbenches, each one its own separate menu to craft new bullets or craft a new gun or craft new shield or equipment stuff. And it can be very overwhelming. I'll be totally honest, there's a lot of menus and sometimes it can be a little cluttered or disorienting when you feel like your eyes are just glazing over as you go back and forth between these menus for items. But you deal with it because you want better stuff. You want to find better stuff. You want to come back. You want to prepare your stuff and go out and do better. Because when you're out there in the world, it's a ton of fun. The game has 4 maps with another one on the way, and each one has a lot of variation, and they all feel really, really big, with lots of wide open spaces, dense foliage, buildings, underground areas, rooftops. There's always a lot going on. Along with that, they each can have like a night raid style option with different rewards. And when you jump into these, it seems like different areas or certain parts of the map have different weather effects and kind of like time of day effects, and that can affect visibility and really make you shake up your strategy. And strategize you must, because this game can be pretty tough. You're out there looking for stuff and you don't know what's going to come around a corner and kill you.
You never know.
Most of the time, you're looking out for ARC, which are these mechanized robots. They are incredibly threatening. At first, on the surface, they kind of just look like generic video game robots. Some of the early ones are, but they're all pretty threatening. Even a basic little drone can screw you up, take a lot of bullets, waste your resources, or alert other enemies. It can bring in other robots, or if you're loud enough, other players might hear you and come investigate, because that's a big part of this game is player interaction, and I've enjoyed this the most. You're going to run into other players. It's inevitable. What do you want to do? You want to be the villain? You want to take pot shots at a guy and steal all his stuff? Or do you want to try and team up, work together, and get out safely, or take down a big enemy?
How do you get that done? Proximity chat?
You could do all that. And generally in our experiences so far, it seems like people are down to clown, down to communicate. At least there's like proximity chat, so you can hold a button and start shouting at someone and say, hey, friendly, don't shoot. And a lot of times people will hold their fire. People will talk things out. Everybody's kind of figuring out the game together. We ran into some random raiders and had a conversation with them trying to find a specific resource that we needed for a quest. Because of that, we gave them some items and then we both went our separate ways. Other times though, you're gonna have some guy just sitting in a bush that will snipe you from across the map. And honestly, either way, it's pretty fun and pretty engaging. It's not the first game to do something like this, but it's just been a blast in this world, especially because it's just a fun, simple third-person shooter. You have a dodge roll, you can crouch, you can sprint, and you can run and gun. As much as I wish there was more to it, like a dedicated melee button, it didn't seem like there is one, as well as like going prone and doing stuff like that. There's none of that, but
really?
The shooting itself feels great.
That's a disappointment.
I've been able to pull off crack shots, better than I thought. And the feel of the weapon, the recoil, the weapon sway, the feedback of the gunshot, and the sound effect of these gunshots just make it really, really satisfying. This game has incredible sound design, not only from the weapons, but just situationally, around you. You're always minding your surroundings because making noise alerts enemies, whether it be robotic or human. And there's been a lot of times where I made too much noise trying to crack open a box and guys heard it and came over and shot me in the back. The game is filled with all kinds of things to alert people to your presence, whether you stumble upon a flock of birds or bump into a car and a car alarm goes off, or a security camera highlights you and starts beeping, or you accidentally walk through like an old metal detector in an office. All types of things will make noise and trigger players. And there's been just really fun instances of complete standoffs where my friend and I are holed up at the top of a building and we hear people on the floor below us and we're waiting for them to come up so we can shoot them in the face. It does feel like there might need to still be some balancing. I can't quite put my finger on it yet, but sometimes it feels like the ARC enemies, like the robots, are insanely overpowered. Even just like mundane, smaller ones, they end up becoming complete bullet sponges. I do like that these things are challenging. I do like that they're threatening. Like, you can't write them off. But there was a couple of instances where it was completely unpredictable, where we'd murder like a bunch of these things easily, and then we'd come across one that just would not die. It's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal, but it was occasionally kind of frustrating. Personal complaints aside, I still think it's solid enough, but again, it really comes down to the PvP part that I enjoyed the most. So far, that tension can be really powerful. I don't know like how much juice this game is going to have over time, but moment to moment, it's been really entertaining. Plus, too, what's good is, multiplayer game, jumping into it so far, the servers have been good. We've been able to get into matches, play with each other, connect with other players, have no lag or issues whatsoever. Can you believe it? A big modern video game multiplayer launch that isn't a complete mess and actually seems to run well? Unreal Engine 5?
It seems like they're just not trying to do too much. Like the developers, like they've been looking at these games that's coming out. They've been taking feedback from their player base, and it just seems like this is one of those games they're just not trying to do too much. It's nothing, from what I'm seeing so far, there's nothing special about the game. There's nothing crazy about it. It's just a good old bread and butter extraction shooter.
I know it sounds crazy, but visually, performance-wise, haven't had any issues on PC. I can't speak to console yet. We haven't tested those versions, but PC, everything's been good from game performance to server performance. If you can get enough loot, get in an elevator or an exit, and get back underground, like I said at the start, you kind of deal with a lot of crafting and building and stuff like that. And the progression is interesting because early on through the game, it walks you through building all these workbenches. You have to craft all these workbenches manually to then, craft more stuff. But those different benches also have their own upgrade track where you can level them up. The weapons you find also have their own upgrade track where you can spend components to level them up. Just hope that you don't die in a field and someone takes it from you. Along with that, there's a weapon attachment system, so you can craft different levels of attachments for all these guns, as well as your shields, throwables, and a bunch of other gadgets. There's like a staggering amount of stuff, and sometimes it can be hard to keep track. And honestly, that's one of my bigger complaints, is kind of what I said at the start. It is so menu driven, but also almost obtusely, as well as like there's no like auto or preset loadout type situations yet that we can see where after I die and I lose everything, I would love to just click a button and essentially burn a lot of my resources and get the bare essentials that I need. As of right now, that doesn't seem to be a thing, so it becomes tedious after you die, which, yes, you should be punished, but then you have to go back and craft all this stuff and go through it again. And so after a while, that did get old. But at the very least, the game also has a good skill tree. I've been slowly putting points into the skill tree after like level 10 or so, and you can dump points into different areas, like giving yourself more stamina for when you're sprinting, make less noise while you're running around, or when you're crouched, make less noise when you're opening boxes.
Oh, there go the big boys. I was like, where the big boys at?
Simple,
where the big arc monsters at?
Feels like it's actually necessary. And like when I spend a point and get more stamina, I notice it in game. So I found myself looking forward to hopefully killing a couple of guys or enemies, getting some skill points after extracting, and leveling up and getting a skill point. It made me push for that. Look, all this extraction shooter stuff, like all the loot and all the micro economy crafting stuff, like I can't speak to how great it is yet. I am not a extraction shooter expert, but what I can say, for me, I am having the most fun where it counts, and that's when you're topside. When you're out there exploring, being careful, watching sight lines, taking on giant robotic spider enemies, or communicating with other players you find out in the field. That is where the game is the most effective, and it is the most fun. It's not the most complicated thing in the world. It's a pretty simple game for the most part when you're running around and shooting, because like I said, your character can only do so much, but I think this is a really good foundation. Plus, with the amount of maps, I feel like each one is satisfying and unique enough on its own. I've spent quite a bit of time in all of them already, and I dig them. It also gets a lot of points for immersion with me. Like I said earlier, the sound design is incredibly tight. Really, really good. You're always listening for distant gunshots, footsteps rustling around, the scan of a drone. But that's all while walking through really good, creepy interiors with like your flashlight, or scanning the horizon line, or checking every bush when you're walking through a swamp. The game really excels with sci-fi immersive exploration. Even if it's pretty simple, the sound design, the environment design, the weather effects, the particle effects, and just the overall visuals, the graphics really combine to make a cool experience when you're just walking around looking for stuff, looking for garbage. And that helped hook me. The only thing that remains to be seen is like going through these quests. I'm still chipping my way through these quests that the vendors can give you, and most of them are still pretty dull. They're kind of just based around doing random things, and some of it revolves on the RNG. There are compelling bits here and there, but I'm curious to see like how this is going to evolve as we put more and more time into it, and just how this game grows, the meta progression, stuff like that. Like we can't really comment on that stuff yet, but what we got here like day one on launch, I am very happy with what I've been playing so far, with what I bought into. I feel like I'm getting my money's worth, and I've had some good time with friends. And like, I don't know if it's because it's third person or something like that, but I just feel it reminds me of the early days of playing PUBG. Running around these open fields with your friends, just hoping that some random guy doesn't blow your head off. They have a roadmap. I'm curious to see like how they're going to stick with it, but ultimately like how they're going to respond to player feedback and how the game is going to evolve. Because, like I said, for all the complicated menus and all the loot and all this stuff going on, at its core, it's a pretty simple game. I just want to see how
like it's very bread and butter. Very bread and butter.
What else they can do. But still, moment to moment, I'm having fun, and I plan to play it all weekend and beyond when I have time. So that's where we're at right now with Arc Raiders' first impressions. And that's a before you buy. You know how this goes by now. I give you some pros, some cons,
Okay,
and some
yeah, that was useful. It was very, very useful information. Shout out to Jake Baldino. I've been following his channel for a while. Let's look at the public sentiment. Let's see what the community thinks. Everybody that I know that have talked about the game has given it rave reviews. So on Steam, it's very positive. So most people like the game. I like the fact that it's very cheap. Deluxe edition, I don't know what else it would come with. What, some skins or something like that? What does the deluxe edition come with? I guess the upgrade to deluxe edition. What comes with it? Okay, skins. So you get upgrade deluxe edition includes following content. Okay, you get skins. You get some in-world currency and an emotes. Okay, I don't know if that's worth $20, but I mean, who am I to tell them about their game? So Embark Studios, did they make any other games? Oh, they made the finals. Okay, so that's why. That's why they already know what to do as far as how a shooter goes. So the finals was pretty good. I think people still play that. Yeah, mostly positive, very positive. Yeah. So let's check the Metacritic score. Just for shits and giggles. Just for shits and giggles. Let me go back. Let me go up. Arc Raiders. It even has like a generic name too, does it not? Like a 78. Yeah. I wonder. You know, usually like if the community likes it, if the user score is high, then the reviewer score would be high. I wonder what. But this is only based on 4 reviews. There's 161 user scores, so maybe we just gotta wait for more outlets to put their review out. But yeah, seems like a pretty solid game. I think I might indulge and see what's popping with this game. So let me do more. This is the next reaction. Let me pause that. Let me go in here and do my little 1-2 real quick. All right, so boom. Okay, so Arc Raiders. This is a game, from my understanding, was announced back in like 2021, and then there was like a play test last year, and then recently they did the server slam. And judging from what I've seen and from everybody that I know that's played the game, they're liking it. It seems like a very straightforward, very bread and butter PvE extraction shooter. You're fighting against these in a post-apocalyptic world where people have been driven underground. They live underground and they go upside. They go topside. They call it topside. They go to the surface to find resources so that they can continue to survive underground. And you're fighting these monsters called these mechanical robots called the Ark, and you have to go up against them and other players, because other players you might get to a resource and other players might be coming for it, so you gotta fight your way out of that. All right, so yeah, y'all already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's your boy JusticeXFalls, and we out. One.